Hey guys, I'm back with another beginner chess analysis video. I believe this is number 17. Um, this time I'm doing a game from a user named Ethan K. I don't think he gave me any notes. No, he didn't, but he's going to be white. So just before I begin, a quick disclaimer. As always, I'm not a titled player, so just keep that in mind when hearing what I have to say. I range between, depends on the time control, but between 2000 and 2100 on Lichess. And if you would like me to review one of your games, if you're under 1750 Lichess or under 1500chess.com, just shoot me a message and I'll add you to the queue to do a video in the future. Okay, so let's get going. So one interesting thing about this game, I noticed, and I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but so the player that we're reviewing here is white, Ethan K, but he's playing someone named Strobex Gaming. And I don't know if these two are friends or not, but I've actually, Strobex Gaming is kind of a recent semi-regular of my Twitch stream. And I actually played him about a week ago, maybe, and he actually beat me. So the fact that this ended up being a draw, maybe I shouldn't be, maybe I don't have the right to be critiquing this game. But yeah, I'm 2100 on Rapid, and I lost to Strobex Gaming. I made a few blunders that game, and I ended up blundering in time pressure at the very end. But yeah, so that's an interesting side note. So okay, but let's continue anyways. So this is the first time I'm looking at this game, and yeah, let's go here. Oh, so first of all, I noticed right now that this is a blitz game. This is a 3-minute blitz game. I don't really want to be reviewing like time controls this fast because you don't have time to think, so it's not like the best use of me analyzing, but I guess I'm in this already. So I just want to take a look at Ethan's account. Okay, so let's take a look here. So so it looks like he plays primarily blitz. 10 times, more than 10 times as many blitz games than rapid or classical. So I sound like a broken record, but really the longer time controls you play, the better. Just the more you learn, you're actually thinking, as opposed to just, especially 3-0. It's not even 5-0 blitz. He plays 3-0 blitz. You're basically just playing off of instinct mostly at that time control, and you're not going to improve very much just playing blitz. So that's advice number one. Stick to the longer time controls. The longer the better. So get some classical games in there, get some rapid. A good goal I could give you is to try to get your rapid or classical number of games to match your blitz or even exceed it. But that's number one. So just because 3-0, you're not thinking. You're just not thinking. Okay, but I'm going to review it anyways. But just keep that in mind. Okay, I don't know this opening very well. I think it's called like the center game or center gambit. I'm not sure. Let me go back to the other screen here. Yeah, so not a common opening, basically because in a way it's almost similar to a Scandinavian in that white gets his queen out in the center early, but he's going to kind of waste tempi. For example, once black plays a knight to c6, for example, the queen has to move again, and then you're kind of disregarding one of the basic opening principles of, two actually. You're violating two of the opening principles. One is taking your queen out too early, and second is moving the same piece twice. And so, yeah, not a really super advisable opening. I think with this, black basically gains equality. But at the lower levels, this isn't really a huge deal. But like I guess part of why I'm not familiar with this opening is because you're really not going to see it at the higher levels. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So it's black's turn again, and black pretty much gains equality here because again, white had to move his same piece twice. Okay, white is just developing simply now, and just wondering if there's a tactic here. Is black not able to take the pawn? Is there an issue with maybe queen d5? Yeah, that might be a trap there, I'm guessing. Knight takes e4, queen d5. I'm not sure. There might be queen e7. But that doesn't look very great for black. Although there might even be bishop e6. So so if knight takes queen d5. No, sorry, not bishop e6, but yeah, maybe queen e7. And then is black just up a pawn there? It could be dangerous. So if white castles, and then if black goes back, knight f6, if rook e1, then there's bishop e6. Yeah, so that seems to work. I think black can just take. Let's confirm that with the engine. I'm going to put the engine on here. It might lag the video a little bit. But yeah, so that's just a blunder. Yeah, so black can just take. Yeah, if there's also queen e7, queen e2, which I forgot to look at. But there are multiple ways that can be defended. Queen e7, d5. This is what I was looking at. But actually, it seems you can play bishop e6. Why is that? Oh, because there's a fork. If he takes the knight, then you can. Oh no, sorry. If you take the knight, yeah, then d5 fork. Yeah, so there's a fork. But I was looking even just a simpler queen e7 works as well and is winning for black. So just turn off the engine there. Yeah, so that's just a blunder. And again, I kind of feel a little bit bad about even making a video of this because it's a blitz game. It's a 3-0 blitz game, and it's in the future. This is going to be the last video I ever do of a fast time control for beginners. Just because you're not even thinking, you're not even putting in the effort. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just the truth, and that's what might be holding some lower rated players back, because they're not even putting in the effort to actually think, and therefore improve. So the fact that bishop c4, I'm sure if this was a longer time control, Ethan isn't going to make this same mistake, because I mean it's just a simple. I mean it's pretty obvious that there's a pawn dropping right there. So okay, let's continue. But yeah, that's a lesson learned to me. In the future, I'm going to decline any games that are under 10 minutes, basically. Okay, I should have. I guess when I made my post looking for games, I didn't mention that, so it's kind of on me. But you got to play those longer time controls, because again, these blitz games, you're not going to learn. You're going to learn hardly anything. You will learn over time, but you're going to learn like 10 times slower than if you had played a slower game to begin with. Okay, so like 110, let's say one classical game, so like 1:15 and 15 game, or 1:30 and 0 game, you'll learn more from than playing like 25-minute games. So just keep that in mind. Knight d5. Not sure about that. Isn't this pawn again undefended and can just take on e4? It seems like it to me. Yeah, so that just looks like a dropped pawn again. And so again, these moves, and like look at the clock. I'll show you in this other screen. So a total of 18 seconds were spent on 11 moves. So you basically spent like a second and a half per move. And So this whole video is just going to be emphasizing the fact that playing these the faster time controls is not a good use of your time, because you're not even thinking about the game. Like, you're not. You're just almost making random moves. That's what blitz is. Like, you're just playing off of instinct. Okay, you might calculate like tiny bit for like a few seconds, like hardly anything though, but you're not actually thinking. That's not really, okay, this is kind of maybe too strong of a statement, but it's not really chess. I mean, blitz is really to show what you already know. You're not going to improve or learn from it. And I know I've just said this a million times over and over, but hey, I keep getting so many lower rated player games, or, from people that are just playing the faster time controls only. They're not playing the slower time controls. So you got to put in the work. You got to put in the effort. I know faster time controls are fun. I know that. I'm not telling you not to play faster time controls, but, well, I guess I am. But if you want to improve, don't play them. Just play them knowing that you're doing it purely for fun, but not for improvement. Okay? Okay. Okay. Let me get back to the other screen here. Yeah, so the drop pawn, but black didn't take it. Yeah, so, okay, so here's a move that we can discuss. G4, you have to be very, very careful when making such a move. So, well, I guess the other thing to consider here is, well, white is already kind of in a pickle here, because there's pressure on the F3 square and it can't be defended again. So there's two options here. Since it can't be defended again, I guess there's technically, yeah, there's two, no, there's three options actually. Since we can't defend it again, you can create like some interference with G4, basically blocking one of the attackers. So that's one option, which is what Ethan did here. Another option would be to defend it, which we can't. So it's not a viable option here, since we can't literally defend it again. And the other option is to do nothing, because that is a choice. A choice is to do nothing here. And I'm not sure if white considered that. Now, I'm not sure, like maybe G4 is the best move here, but I'm just curious if he considered doing nothing, because the way that I'm looking at it right now is like, it's hard to talk and calculate at the same time, but G4 makes me very, very uneasy, because we're moving a pawn in front of the king, and that could really backfire down the road. Here it might not be so bad, because white does have a lot of pieces on the king side here, and so we might be able to utilize G4 and gain space and really push black back and create a counter attack here. So in this case, it might work. Let me just think here for a little bit. Yeah, so G4 in this particular scenario, I think is actually viable. Again, because we do have so many pieces here close by. But I just want to point out the other option of doing nothing. And by doing nothing, I mean not reacting to this and just letting it be, and just making some other move. I'm not sure what other move we might play here. Instead, yeah, because there's not so many great options here. I guess you could consider possibly bishop takes b7, but I don't know if we want to be trading this for this. Probably not. But it's just, okay. But let's just say we make another move. Let's say we go rook e1. Well, actually, I don't want to do that for a few reasons. But let's say we go a3, just like a non-move. we have to consider that the threat from black might not be so bad. So if he actually takes, let's say he takes with the bishop first, doesn't really matter. If you take with the bishop first, we have to take with the g pawn, right? Otherwise we lose the queen. So, okay, we get these ugly double pawns, which are indeed ugly, but at the same time, like a lot of people misconstrue such a position as being completely terrible for white. But often this can actually be beneficial for white because we actually will get an open G file and we can maybe launch an attack on the black king. So for example, bishop takes, G takes, let's say king H2, and then following up with the idea of rook G1. And suddenly we're going to attack here. We have immediate threats of bishop takes, H6. But there are concerns because maybe at that point, black could play bishop G5. So let me make a few moves on the board if you're not following along. But let's just, whoops, can I do that? Will it let me do that? Yeah, so whoops. So let's say, oh yeah, so I was going to go A3. So let's say bishop takes, G takes, and yeah. So then let's say, well, I guess he can't go bishop G5 right away because we'll have a fork. Although I'm not, because oh yeah, he can't go to C4. So maybe, yeah. So this might be a viable idea. Let's say, I'm guessing, oh no, I guess there's a check here, which I, no, there's not, it's not. Okay, I'm seeing ghosts. Okay, so let's say he kicks us out and we go to, let's say bishop A2. And I'm not sure what else black might do here. Possibly he'll break things open with, oh, there's a check there. I'm missing everything. So, okay, let's say he gets off the back rank. Goes to, or gets, more importantly, get off the G file. Let's say he goes to king H7. And well, maybe we kick the knight out now first. And maybe he comes in here. So this isn't so bad, in my opinion. I mean, this might actually be better for white. It's a little hard to say. No, because the king is fairly safe here, and we might be able to get an avenue going on the G file. And this looks pretty good, pretty decent compared to where we were. So the alternative. So my point in this very long tangent is just to consider that sometimes you can do nothing here, and like maybe the threats aren't as bad as they might seem. You have to be careful about that. But maybe G4 is fine again. Like G4, maybe if let's say takes, and then bishop G6, this might not be so bad as well. They might both be playable moves. Maybe we go queen G3, but then we're dropping this after C6. This drops. Yeah, so I almost prefer the other line, but this might be totally playable as well. I'm going to take a quick peek with the engine because I'm curious myself what it thinks after knight E5. So it actually liked G4 as the best move by far. Okay, so I'm thinking that's more because the alternative, like A3, we're not, like the other moves here, and we're not really achieving anything. But let's just take a quick peek with the engine. It's always useful to do that. Yeah, so it's not even wanting to take here directly. It's suggesting C6. Then maybe bishop B3 or A2. And then queen C8. I guess now, okay, queen C8 is an interesting idea because the H3 pawn will fall after a capture here now. Yeah, so that could start to be a problem. That's an interesting line. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on that, but it looks like G4 was actually the better move. But still, my point remains that it would have been good to, and I'm not sure, maybe Ethan did consider doing nothing, but again, sometimes doing nothing is not so bad, because if I just go back to my possible idea of kind of doing nothing, like It's not the, what I mean by doing nothing is allowing his tactic to continue. Maybe it's not so bad. Yeah, because if takes here and then G takes, yeah. So again, it looks ugly, but this computer prefers this for white. So computer actually likes white now. I guess I didn't actually look at if knight takes first, and the computer prefers this for black. But the reasons are a bit unclear to me at first glance. It's suggesting, yeah, bishop f6, and kind of interesting. Okay, maybe the queen's going to get in here. Yeah, because he's threatening b2. If we spend time defending b2, let's say a slow move like rook b1, I think he can go bishop e5. And I thought f4 might be an issue, but sorry, our queen is, we can't do that. Our queen is under attack. So yeah, so I think he's going to kind of, he's making room for his queen to come into h4. I guess that's the idea here. So, because we can't actually deal with that. There's no way for us to stop that. If we go king in the corner, he's still going to come into h4. Okay, so that's the reason why that doesn't work. Okay. Let me turn off the engine and get back to it here. Okay, so g4 is actually the best move. Okay, and this is such a, this is what people will do at lower levels in faster time controls, because it, like a sacrifice just seems like, okay, I'm getting 2 pawns for the piece and breaking open white's center, or white's king side here. And if we flip the board and we look at it from black's point of view, at immediate glance, it looks like, okay, there's got to be a tactic here. So I've been practicing my tactics. This opens up and we've got this pin going and I'm going to checkmate the king. But in a way, if you didn't calculate the whole thing to the finish, it might be a form of hope chess. You're just sacrificing here, getting 2 pawns for a piece. Granted, they are 2 sheltering pawns, so they're pretty valuable. But still, 2 pawns for a minor piece, and just hoping that it's going to lead to something greater. If you don't actually calculate it out, then that's just hope chess. So let me just think here. So yeah, so he took with the knight. I mean, what would the follow-up be? It's not so clear to me how black can follow up here. Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes. What if it was black's move again? What might he do? He's down to 3 pieces, 3 attacking pieces. I don't really see exactly what he's going to do. Bishop g5 doesn't seem, well, bishop g5. Yeah, I mean, white doesn't even have to react to that. I don't think he wants to take, because that could be trouble. But again, yeah, white doesn't really have to react to that. It is a little bit uncomfortable for white. I do grant you that. But at the same time, I'm trying to see where black is getting the compensation for this little sacrifice. So if we look at it again, and okay, so white, oh, that's not such a bad move. King in the corner, and again, we're rooting for Ethan here as white, but yeah, so I'm trying to see where black's compensation would be. And I think I like this because you get the rook here. We just have to be a little bit careful about takes and then check here. Yeah, so this is the reason I didn't like the sacrifice by black, or at least I wasn't sure about it. It didn't seem that there was quite enough compensation there because, yeah, again, how is black going to proceed? So I'm thinking his plan right now is to take the knight, queen takes, and then maybe bishop here. and then bring in the queen here. But that's going to take a lot of moves, and by then I feel that white can defend, because his queen will be on f3 at that point, and he can always just create shelter. So I think this is just very bad for black. So I actually like this king h1 move by white here, by Ethan. Yeah, so I'm just curious what the computer thinks, but I personally don't like this of taking. This is just, computer does not like it. And it doesn't love king h1 as being the best move, but I think it's pretty good considering the time here. I think king h1 is fine. Yeah, so sorry about that, but again, and I know I'm trying to give critique from white's point of view, but I think this is instructive. I know it's a blitz game, but you can't just sack a piece and hope it's going to work out. You have to calculate to the end, unless it's just completely obvious that it's winning. Unless it's just you just know that it's winning, it must be winning. You can do it, but this is really a hope chess move. You're kind of hoping that it's going to work out. It's kind of a lazy. It's lazy chess. So again, just looking at it from black's point of view. So just some advice for the future. You can't just taking either way. It doesn't really make a difference. There's too many pieces for white to defend. But if you calculated something out and then okay, then I want to win the queen in 2 moves after that, then of course go ahead. But you can't just sacrifice material and then expect it to work out. You have to calculate to the end. And that's what I was trying to do a few minutes ago. I was trying to see if black could get something going. I was thinking, take, and then white goes somewhere. I'm not sure where. And then I thought maybe bishop g5, black could get something going, but I didn't quite see to the end of how black is better. And again, so if you can't calculate to the end, don't do it. And it doesn't have to be a sacrifice. Basically any tactical move or any idea, if you can't calculate to the end, or you don't see yourself better at the end of any calculation, don't proceed. Okay, sorry. Let's get back to the game. Yeah, so I'm rooting for white now because I didn't like that stupid sacrifice by black. Okay, so he takes I wouldn't really call it a Greek sacrifice here, but okay, getting out. Yeah, taking is fine. You could also just not take, because there is some pressure. There is some pressure. I'm just knight g5 might be worth considering. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, we're dropping our queen. Okay, but you're dropping it anyways. So yeah, I'm not sure why the knight is moved here. So again, less than a minute spent on the clock, and yeah, there goes the queen. Yeah, this is. I'm sure if our hero here as white had more time or took his time more, he wouldn't have dropped the queen. Because you see, I almost dropped the queen myself, right? I'm 2100, believe it or not, on rapid. And I briefly gave consideration to this, right? You just saw me do that. I briefly gave consideration to it, but I didn't proceed with it because I saw, oh, whoops, we can't do that. We're dropping our queen. So the same thing could have happened, could have been avoided with our opponent, with Ethan here, if he had just taken a bit more time. Again, I know it's a blitz game and you have to move quick, but you've got 2 minutes left, right? And we're in the middle game. We're in kind of getting close to the end of the middle game. And how much time was spent on this move? Okay, he spent 10 seconds on it, but maybe you could spend even a little bit more time because this is a pretty sharp position. So the moves here are pretty important. You can afford to invest a bit of time. Plus, you're up a piece. You're up a minor piece. So you don't really have to try to flag your opponent here. Okay, let's see here. So would that be good? Because I'm wondering if we just take the bishop. I'm wondering if that's better. Because we could get a whole bishop here. If we give a check and then takes and takes, and then he frees the bishop. What's the difference there? So we could have a bishop, or we could have a pawn and a rook. A pawn and a rook for a minor piece. So I guess that kind of works out to be the same, but personally, I think I would rather take the bishop, because white has a lot of pieces swarming around the enemy king, and instead of trading what is essentially this piece for these two pieces, and then this one gets free. Again, I think I would rather take here, and then we get to keep all of these attacking pieces. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking here. I know it's hard to resist the urge to play such a move because you're winning material there, but we can't assume that we're going to be able to just take this bishop for the rest of the game. You know, he's going to be able to retreat. So I bet you if I turn on the engine, which I am showing you right now, yeah, taking the bishop is the best move by far. So taking here, black is way ahead now, -5. So if I just show you, takes, and if you take here, there's actually even just a check, and now now you're in big trouble too. But even without that check, I didn't even see this, but even without this check, if he just goes, even if he just, actually there might be issues here because of since it's cutting this off, there might be a mate, I guess. But there's also a queen check here. But yeah, I did miss this check in my calculation. Yeah, so I guess I didn't realize that white actually has a mating net here, if not for a queen check or this bishop check. But apparently even just queen d7 is winning. Yeah. Okay. Let me turn off the engine there. So nothing wrong with using the engine. In fact, when you analyze your games, I recommend analyzing without the engine first and then with the engine to confirm your ideas. That's exactly what I did here. But yeah, so again, it's a blitz game, so I can't critique it too much. But when making such a move like this, you just have to be a little bit careful because there are other opportunities on the board. You can't forget about this bishop here. So just don't always go for the first thing you see. If you see something, was it Lasker that said it? The famous quote: "If you see a good move, stop and look for a better one." That's basically what's going on here. This is a good move, right? It seems like a good move. You're going to win material, but there is a bishop hanging here, and it's creating. There is some threat here of check once you move the knight, and there's also queen check. So you just have to be careful about that. Oh, what is this, a perpet here? Looks like it might be a perpetual check. I'm wondering why, because maybe white's happy with the draw, but I'm just wondering about king h2 because that seems to avoid perpet. And it looks like black would have to go bishop. We'll move the bishop, I guess, taking a pawn. And then you just have to decide if white is better or not. I know that black has a queen, but look where our bishops are and our rooks. White has actually a lot of serious threats here. So he's got a minute 46. I would consider king h2. king h2. Maybe there's, oh, sorry, I guess the bishop is falling. I'm missing so much here. We can't go king h2. Well, but then we could still trade. So let's say king h2, queen takes f7, rook takes d1. I guess black is slightly better there, but it's hard to say. Hard to say. It's, yeah, it's close. It's an interesting imbalance. White would have the rook pair and a bishop versus a queen and a rook. Pawns are the same. So if you go by normal piece value, white is down 2 points there. And it would be great if we had a light squared bishop instead of the dark squared bishop at the end of that, because then white might actually be at least equal. But yeah, that's probably better for black. So maybe going for the draw is a better decision. I'm curious what the computer thinks if I can get if I can get to the right position here. Here. No, it prefers. Okay, it prefers king h2 only if black decides to go for the draw. Otherwise, it prefers king h2. It's because black has a better move other than going for the draw. So instead of going for a draw here, it's recommending a number of moves. But yeah, just bishop check makes sense. King a1, and then it just wants to keep the king there with bishop a6. Yeah, so it's a little bit complex here, but white's bishop is under attack, and there's a mate threat which we can't stop. So yeah, that would have been the better way. Yeah, and then black is just way better there then. Okay. Okay, so this video might not be the best video. It might not be liked by a lot of people, which I wouldn't argue with, because there was actually a lot of moves that I kind of missed at first glance myself. But I'm still hoping that there are things from this video that are useful. But feel free to thumbs down if you don't like it. I'll know for the future. So to just recap on this super long video, first of all, again, stop with the fast time controls. You just can't play the fast time controls and expect to improve a whole lot. Play them for fun, but don't play them for improvement. And then what was the other thing? Oh, you might want to rethink this opening. I don't think this is the best opening for white. You're basically just allowing black equality, in my opinion. And yeah, just, you know, there was a pawn, a pawn dropped here, and just be careful about, just be careful about such moves here. Here it ended up being the best move, but just moving pawns in front of your king, you have to be very, very careful. It's such a committal move. You can't move the pawns back, and it creates super weaknesses around your king. Sometimes it's better because you actually create more threats than you do weaknesses, but I'm just telling you to tread carefully in the future when making such moves. Here it ended up being the best move according to the engine. This sacrifice is terrible. I know white didn't make the sacrifice, black did. I'm just letting you know from black's point of view. If you're going to sacrifice, if you're going to do a tactic and you're going to sacrifice material, you have to calculate to the end that it's going to work. Otherwise, you're just giving away material. You can't just sacrifice because it looks good. And yeah, you have to calculate if it's actually better for you. Here, it's not. White can defend. And then white is just, now white has an extra minor piece. And white is just, is in my opinion, much better here. And again, I feel a little silly for critiquing or analyzing this game because it's just a 3-minute game. There was a blunder here. It happens. My advice in this position again was since we are in such a very advantageous position, because we have all of our pieces swarming around black's king, you have to be extra careful because it's a sharp position and we don't want to screw it up. And also if we play a few good moves, we can finish the game fairly quickly here. So it's worth investing some time in such a position. This is where I would slow down and really think. And so our queen was dropped. And again, in this position, similar thing as before, but also if you see a good move, don't just immediately play it. Even if it's like a bullet or blitz game, well, possibly in bullet, but when you have 2 minutes left, just take a quick glance around. Maybe there's better options. You know, maybe you give a consideration to this. I'm not saying this is good. It's not. But I'm just saying, look around the board. Look for other options. Don't always go with the first thing you see. Because, again, taking the bishop is the better move here because there's immediate threats. Yeah, okay. And then here, yeah, ended up being a draw. But there was the better way for black to finish this was a bishop check and then moving the bishop back, creating a mating attack, or a mate threat, and an attack on the bishop, double attack threat there. Okay, again, I hope that was helpful. Leave me any comments on how you think I could improve in the future. And again, if anyone is sending me a video to critique, please send me 10 minutes or longer, because well, we've gone over this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.